Hello, this is Azrael, and this will be part two to the belief structure of Wicca. Okay, now, in my last video, we centered on the Wiccan Rede. Now, in this video, we're going to be addressing the 13 principles of Wiccan belief. A lot of witches and Wiccans do not necessarily subscribe to these 13 principles, but most that I have came across, in fact, do. Most of the uh, authors that are very popular who write books on Wicca that most people learn Wicca from believe in these 13 principles. A matter of fact, um, a very popular pagan book publisher known as Llewellyn, uh, he was there. So he backs this too. And I back this. And you probably will too, because this is pretty much what Wicca is in a nutshell, only without all the rhyming. You see, in 1974, there was a group of witches, about 73 witches, I believe, and they founded the Council of American Witches. So in the April of 1974, a bunch of witches got together and made a document, and to help explain what most neo-pagans, Wiccans, and witches believe, because if you think uh, pagans are misunderstood right now, they were even more misunderstood 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So they came up with 13 statements, and the 13 statements are they're very vague in some areas because they do not precisely and completely match any one tradition of Wicca or witchcraft, but it's a generalization. So feel free not to necessarily agree, but for the most part, you're most likely not going to disagree either because it seems to fit quite comfortably. Okay, and here's my wife reading the 13 Principles of Wicca.
The 13 Principles of Wiccan Belief. 1. We practice rites to attune ourselves with the natural rhythm of life forces, marked by the phases of the moon and the seasonal quarters and cross quarters. 2. We recognize that our intelligence gives us a unique responsibility toward our environment. We seek to live in harmony with nature in ecological balance, offering fulfillment to life and consciousness within an evolutionary concept. 3. We acknowledge a depth of power far greater than that apparent to the average person. Because it is far greater than ordinary, it is sometimes called supernatural, but we see it as lying within that which is naturally potential to all. 4. We conceive the creative power in the universe as manifesting through polarity, as masculine and feminine, and that this same creative power lies in all people and functions through the interaction of the masculine and the feminine. We value neither above the other, knowing each to be supportive of the other. We value sex as pleasure, as the symbol and embodiment of life, and as one of the sources of energy used in magical practice and religious worship. 5. We recognize both outer worlds and inner, or psychological worlds, sometimes known as the spiritual world, the collective unconsciousness, the inner planes, etc. And we see in the interaction of these two dimensions the basis for paranormal phenomena and the magical exercises. We neglect neither dimension for the other, seeing both as necessary for our fulfillment. 6. We do not recognize any authoritarian hierarchy, but do honor those who teach, respect those who share their greater knowledge and wisdom, and acknowledge those who have courageously given themselves in leadership. 7. We see religion, magic, and wisdom in living as being united in the way one views the world and lives within it, a worldview and philosophy of life which we identify as witchcraft, the Wiccan way. 8. Calling oneself witch does not make a witch, but neither does heredity itself, nor the collecting of titles, degrees, and initiations. A witch seeks to control the forces within her himself that make life possible in order to live wisely and without harm to others and in harmony with nature. 9. We believe in the affirmation and fulfillment of life in a continuation of evolution and development of consciousness, giving meaning to the universe we know and our personal role within it. 10. Our only animosity towards Christianity or towards any other religion or philosophy of life is to the extent that its institutions have claimed to be the only way and have sought to deny freedom to others and to suppress other ways of religious practice and belief. 11. As American witches, we are not threatened by debates on the history of the craft, the origins of various terms, the legitimacy of various aspects of different traditions. We are concerned with our present and our future. 12. We do not accept the concept of absolute evil, nor do we worship any entity known as Satan or the devil as defined by Christian tradition. We do not seek power through the suffering of others, nor accept that personal benefit can be derived only by denial to another. 13. We believe that we should seek within nature that which is contributory to our health and well-being.
Okay, so in 1974, the American Council of Witches disbanded, and their greatest accomplishment was the 13 Principles of Wicca. Now, I want to repeat myself. Just because you are a Wiccan does not mean you are a witch. Just because you are a witch does not mean you are a Wiccan. However, when you go to the local bookstore and buy a book on Wicca, you'll always find magic spells written in those books, because the running theme does seem to be that the majority of people who are Wiccan do in fact practice witchcraft. So that is why most people make the misconception and say a witch is a Wiccan and vice versa. But anywho, in my next video, we are going to be talking about the meat of the religion. We're going to be talking about the god and goddess concept. And then we're going to move on from there to various symbolism of Wicca and the goddess and god. And then we're also going to be talking about the year. And that is how you truly get to know the goddess and the god, is how they function through the year and what the god does during, say, uh, Samhain or Halloween, or what happens during time of Yule. So anyway, until then, blessed be my friends, and thank you for listening.